Hello, and welcome to Watch Companion. I'm Jason, and today we have an outstanding watch, the Chocolate Scoop, the Yachtmaster 40 with chocolate dial, reference 126621. Envision this. There's a delicious chocolate ice cream cone. The ice cream is seductive and sweet. Around the rim of the cone, a layer of chocolate is delicately glazed. Melted ice cream is dripping down the side. I suppose if you're hungry, that sounds like a sumptuous snack. Although I already ate recently, so what am I really talking about? Our Yachtmaster we have today. The dial being an ice cream scoop, the bezel being the chocolate lacing the cone, and the rose gold down the center links is the chocolate oozing down the side. It's fit to nickname this watch the Chocolate Scoop. More luxurious than a Submariner, sportier than a Datejust, and simpler than a GMT, the Rolex Yachtmaster is the brand's nautical-inspired luxury sports watch. Half gold, half steel, a Rolex. The term Rolex was patented by Rolex in 1933, and is Rolex's term for designating a watch that is half gold and half steel, gold being coveted for its luster and nobility, steel for its strength and reliability. Together, they harmoniously combine the best of their properties. Many watch enthusiasts call this blend a two-tone watch. This watch specifically, we have a tremendous pink gold, termed by Rolex as Ever-Rose Gold, with a special blend of 904L stainless steel, called Oyster Steel by Rolex. The thing about pink gold is, as it ages, it often fades to yellow gold. Ever-Rose is different. Its composition incorporates a high platinum and copper assembly. This stops the pink gold from fading to yellow gold. Ever-Rose is featured in the bezel and running down the middle of the bracelet. The case and the remainder of the bracelet is oyster steel. Okay, let's begin with the dial. There is so much to say. A tasteful chocolate dial, sinfully rich and seductive. Viewing the dial at different angles, you can see its lacquered sunburst effect. Iridescent, giving us different colors and shimmers, changing from a luscious brown to a delicate black hue. At the 3 o'clock position is a date complication. It is magnified 2.5 times with Rolex's Cyclops lens. The indices around the dial are simple shapes. Circles, rectangles, triangles. They are filled with a luminescent paint, termed again by Rolex as chromolite. It's really outstanding in low light conditions. It appears a bluish hue. Probably the most iconic Rolex inclusion is the Mercedes hour hand. Rolex has not confirmed the design inspiration for the Mercedes hand, although it can be said that the wider style of the logo makes it easier to read, even if the minute and second hand is eclipsing it. The second hand beautifully complements the chocolate dial with its brown finish. One small detail I want to talk about is the word Yachtmaster being written in red. Perhaps you're familiar with antique watches. You may have heard of the famous red Submariner thrown around in conversation. Some of the early Submariner watch models had the word Submariner on a dial written in red. These models are very rare. Perhaps Rolex is trying to draw the connection by writing Yachtmaster in red. Antique collectors still buy those models for vast markup, knowing its history, knowing you are wearing something different from the norm, knowing you are wearing something that revolutionized the watch market. Perhaps Rolex wants the Yachtmaster to also revolutionize the brand. It can't be said that all Yachtmasters have the word in red, but most do. Shockingly, some believe the Yachtmaster line emerged by accident. Maybe the Yachtmaster was originally a redesign for the Submariner. It wouldn't be too shocking from their resemblance. The idea is that Rolex would have felt that the fan base would be appalled by such an extreme change, and so Rolex decided to spin it into the Yachtmaster line. The sapphire crystal is 40 millimeters, and adjacent we have an outstanding bezel, of course following our chocolate theme. The raised, polished numerals and graduations stand out clearly against a sand-blasted background. The beauty of this look lets this watch be a mix between a sports watch or a formal watch. It definitely is substantial and just a nice feeling to have a slab of gold on your wrist. I do want to say though that this is not a diver's watch. Its water resistance is 330 feet or 100 meters. Okay, the official purpose of the Yachtmaster's bezel is for yacht racing. Specifically, it is meant to keep track of the time between buoys. But let's be honest, like other professional Rolex models, you probably won't be using this feature. The watch is equipped with a 3-piece oyster bracelet. Again, the chocolate theme is emanating down the center. More proper, we have Everrose center links and brushed 904L side oyster steel links. The clasp is a hatch lock and equipped with Rolex's Easy Link mechanism. It's really simple and adds 5mm to the bracelet if your wrist swells. Let's pretend I'm a new buyer and I'm looking at Rolex's website. Browsing through, you see subs, Datejusts, GMTs. Most people don't really make it past this point. It's a shameful thing how overlooked the Yachtmaster is. The crown is typical for Rolex. It features the signature coronet with varied markings below the logo. The symbol underneath changes from Rolex model to model, but specifically for this model, it indicates that we have 3 water seal zones. Rolex calls this type of seal a triplock. Something I found a little frustrating about the crown is that it's oyster steel and not gold. If you saw my video of the Wimbledon two-tone Datejust, the crown was gold. But that's not the only exception. The two-tone GMT, Skydweller, Submariner, you get it. Most have gold. So I wonder, what were they considering when they designed this model? To be honest, I most likely would have preferred the crown to be steel because it matches the body of the watch. But gold is still gold, and it feels that they took some of my equity away. If I had to guess the reasoning, I would say that the added expense of having a full gold bezel took away from Rolex's profit margin, so in order to compensate, they probably chose this decision to have the crown in oyster steel, so they would have a plus on their margin. Although it does actually look more uniform not having it in gold, it's just something to consider. This watch is equipped with a Movement 3235, which provides us 70 hours power reserve. Another way you could tell it has the newer movement is because there is a coronet between Swiss and Made below the 6 o'clock. This watch is COSC and a superlative chronometer, which just simply means that the watch should not gain or lose 2 seconds a day. The dimensions of this masterful watch is 46.8mm from lug to lug, between the lugs is 20mm, and the thickness is 11.6mm. I just want to point out the lugs for you. If you compare the shaping to other Rolex models, such as the Submariner, the Yachtmaster's lugs curve downward and really give it a nice feel on the wrist. So if I put the watch on the scale, we see that it weighs 154 grams. Okay, let's say you're sold. You can't live without this watch. How do you get it? You are in luck. This watch is vastly easier to get from an authorized dealer, really, than any other Rolex sports watch. Although I will say, if you are not patient with waiting for your authorized dealer, it seems that you can still get it for a few thousand more than retail from the gray market. The current retail price is $14,500. Okay, yes, this is more money than a two-tone Datejust or a Submariner with a similar scheme. Objectively, considering the Yachtmaster, it definitely has more gold held in its bezel compared to a Datejust, and is much easier to obtain from an authorized dealer than a sub. I can say that the Chocolate Scoop, the Yachtmaster 40 with a chocolate dial, is an outstanding watch. It is perfect as a sports watch that can make you stand out from the normal watch enthusiasts with their GMTs and their subs. This is also a great formal watch too. You will get many compliments from this.